In this video, I will try something new for this channel. I recently got more into the lore behind Legends of Runeterra and wanted to introduce you today to the story of Frejord. This will cover the old gods, so Ornn, Anivia and Volibear's story. If you guys enjoy this video, let me know, and I will probably also be creating a video for the Three Sisters and present day Frejord. But for now, this will do. I will be doing this with a twist though. Instead of just retelling the story, I will try to incorporate the story into a deck and play the deck, telling their stories meanwhile. For now, let's dive into the video and let me know in the comments how you feel about the whole idea. Volibear, Ornn and Anivia, the three main gods from Frejord. It is said, when Runeterra came to be, when it was first created, these three gods shaped the landscape that we know as Frejord. Ornn, in a battle with the earth itself, created the mountains, which he now calls home to him and his forge. Anivia, when she was birthed, created the weather by breaking apart her egg, and the splinters raining down on Frejord became the first blizzard. And lastly, Volibear. Volibear is the personification of all that is wild in Frejord. The harsh wind, the roaring rivers, and the wild beasts and their fury. To represent this, I've created a deck that fits in line with this mechanic as much as possible. While it might not be the best deck you could create with Ornn and Anivia, it will work wonders telling the story you're about to hear. We are running Feral Mystic and some natural disaster spells to represent the fury from Volibear. Ornn, his followers in his forge, which is our main way of winning in this deck, and lastly Anivia, avalanche and harsh winds displaying the weather that constantly accompany the lands of Frejord. For now, let's settle in around this campfire and listen to the story I have to tell. Our story starts off with Ornn and his forge. Ornn is the oldest of the three siblings, his siblings being Anivia and Volibear. When Ornn first came down to earth, Ornn itched for a fight. But nature was no adversary to him. Whenever he touched icebergs, they melted, as he was fiery and hot. Trees snapped too easily, and so the only thing left was the land itself. So, Ornn, still wanting a good brawl, challenged the land itself, and after wrestling for a while, the land became dented and bruised, becoming the mountainous landscape we now know today as Frejord. As a reward, the land offered Ornn the primordial flame, and Ornn settled creating weapons from now on. Now satisfied with his work, Ornn took to building a house. And what a house he created. It was made from the finest of lumber and spanned 3 valleys. Anivia, his younger sister though, wasn't pleased with this, as he felled her favorite trees to build his new home. To teach him a lesson, Anivia went into Ornn's new home while he slept and tickled him in his sleep, making Ornn sneeze and setting the whole place alight. Ornn didn't wake up from that, but after he woke up, his house was burned to the ground. Ornn, unhappy with it, and not knowing that Anivia caused this, traced it back to him praising his work, and vowed to never praise any work he's doing ever again.
Pretty words won't unburn my house, Anivia.
Now, Ornn decided to build a new house, one that wouldn't burn down so easily, and created the Great Forge within a mountain fed directly by the primordial fire. This forge, though, was even too hot to handle for Ornn, so he rerouted a part of the ocean into his forge, cooling it down for 3 days before it was finally cold enough to enter. While the forge cooled down, all the water feeding it evaporated and formed great clouds, which in turn became the first snow there ever was in Frejord. Until then, Frejord was filled with cold, dry air. But after the first snowfall began, it snowed for 100 years, making Frejord what it is today, a snowy landscape. Now we could dive into the story of how Ornn created the door that Braum uses, but the story is for another to tell. Instead, we'll focus our story on 2 other events. The reason why the Howling Abyss is in this deck is rather simple. Ornn made the Howling Abyss and the bridge spanning it. Again, this is another story I will not tell in this video, but maybe in a future one, where it will make a reappearance. But I already wanted to include a quick explanation here if you were wondering why it's in the deck in the first place. Our last story will take us back to good old Ornn. After he finished his forge, people began to settle at the bottom of the mountain, and created a village. This village is known as Hearthblood. People from all over the world flocked here to create marvelous weapons and tools, all in the vicinity of Ornn, which they revered. Ornn didn't really accept them as his followers, but was secretly rather chuffed to bits that he had hard-working folks that worshipped him and let him stay there. Over time, Hearthblood was known as the most prestigious craftsman's village all over the world. One day, his brother Volibear visited. Ornn and his brother never got along all that well, as Ornn never really approved of his wild ways and constant pursuit of war and bloodshed. Still, they were brothers and not enemies. Volibear demanded weapons to wage a war against Lysandra and her sisters, but Ornn refused as he didn't want any part in this war. "If you will not make me what I want, then I will take it." The Volibear, now enraged, took it upon himself to take Ornn's weapons by force, to which Ornn responded by attacking Volibear immediately. Unbeknownst to him, this was Volibear's plan all along, as he grew envious of Ornn's following that was created by free will and awe from the people surrounding Ornn, and not by force, such as it was the case with Volibear.
I will tell you of Ornn.
Oh no, what have you heard?
A fight ensued, lasting 8 days and 8 nights. The fighting was so fierce that the mountain trembled and spewed fire, engulfing Hearthblood and all its people in a sea of flames. So the history of Hearthblood and Ornn came to an end, with Ornn disappearing right after the fight, never to be seen again. This only leaves Anivia. The benevolent, winged spirit has a story of herself. As the story goes, Anivia was responsible for creating a hospitable environment for the people of Frejord, seeing as they couldn't survive in this harsh land without her help. Since then, she came to be known as a symbol of hope and protection for the inhabitants of Frejord. Whenever there's a catastrophe awaiting, she appears, being reborn to fight with every ounce of her being, often perishing in the ensuing fights, but never truly dying, as she revives for as long as Frejord exists. Looking at present days, there are rumors going around about Anivia's revival and announcing yet again a great threat that is to befall Frejord. As you were hopefully able to tell, the stories in Legends of Runeterra and its universe are plenty, and even though I've only just given you a quick summary of them, I hope I've piqued some interest in you. If you're interested in any of these stories yourselves and want to know more about them, I can only recommend going to the website I've linked in the description and reading some of them yourselves. If you're not into any kind of virtual reading, there's also a book that you can buy, published by Riot, that goes into more details including artworks you can't find anywhere else. I will also leave a link to that in the description. If you're now wondering about how well the deck actually performed on ladder, I have to disappoint you. Most games I've played resulted in losses, and overall we were only able to get up to a 30% win rate with this deck. Nonetheless, I do encourage you to try this deck yourself, or create one yourself, around any of the stories found in LoR, as in my opinion, it is good fun. I will now let the rest of the video roll with the audio from the stream, and I hope you all enjoyed the video and the stories I've told. Thank you for watching. Might as well try, eh? Do attack with both of these, I think. We need to. That way we can't force him to trade one of its chunky boys. We can actually force him to trade both of the chunkies. That is good news. That's great news. Okay, so both of the chunkies are dead. Which also means I think there's a chance we might survive next turn. We kind of just need to top deck, I don't know, stuff like Frostbite, which I hope, yeah, we do have 2 copies of that still in deck. But still. I do want to tell you though, that the stories in the book are also cards in LoR game, and I thought that was amazing. I went into the LoR game already knowing about some people, and that was very fun. Ooh, I do believe you on that one.